forgive me for sleeping on this because I still haven't listened to this yet.
Oh, okay, word.
I feel like
Have you seen the track
It was
list?
a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
Trox, have you seen the track list for it?
I have. I know Primo's on it.
Okay, yeah. We got the Greg Nice and the Primo track
Yeah.
on the second one there. Moved it up a little early. I don't know if I don't think it was supposed to drop this week even. I don't think they moved it up from this week to earlier in the week. I think they moved it from a different week up to this week to drop.
Yep.
Cool of them to move it up. I don't think anyone has a problem with them like moving their release date up. I didn't feel like that was like a weird gesture. I thought it mostly made sense. But did y'all have like any opinions on moving up your album release to be during this time?
I actually think it's a really bold decision. Like, that is a bold decision. Like,
Socially
like,
bold,
earlier in the
or like are you saying from like an economic standpoint, like the attention you might get?
I would say both. Because of what's going on, I think a lot of things would be drowned out.
Mm-hmm.
I think Run of the Jewels is one of those groups that can withstand that because they are saying something that's relevant to what's going on right now.
That's kind of where that's kind of how I feel about it. Obviously, there'd be certain artists where, like, if they had an album coming out 2 weeks from now and they wanted to move it up to now, I mean, that wouldn't really make sense. I don't know that any label would really want to do that at this time, but
Right.
so it makes sense why they did it. But yeah, you would look at other people a little bit funnier probably if they did the same thing. But that still doesn't mean that that I'm totally open to people having really any kind of opinion about that that gesture, and really it just comes down. I mean, you can listen to it or not. I was gonna ask us basically, do we feel like with the release of RTJ4, is Run the Jewels sort of appreciating or depreciating in value when it comes to Elle and Mike's like chemistry with one another? Their presence as a duo on a full-length album. Do you feel like chemistry-wise they're getting better or plateauing, or maybe not reaching the same heights as previous albums?
Man, I've always this is not a knock on either one of them at all, but I've always thought that LP was better outside of Run the Jewels. Like, I think when he does stuff on his own or with others, outside of RTJ, I just think that you get the best work from him then. And Killer Mike, when I think of Run the Jewels, I mostly think of Killer Mike, but I think that's probably just because he's more, vocal and he's more in the spotlight. He had his show and stuff that I watched a lot of, but I don't know. I don't think that their chemistry is really. It's never been bad, and it's never been like, I've never thought of them as one of like the best duos of hip hop or anything. Like, so I'm kind of at the point where it's like every Run the Jewels project since the first one has kind of been like another Run the Jewels project. It's never like low quality, and I always like those projects to a certain extent. But as far as their chemistry goes, I don't know. It's always been kind of the same for me.
I would even give them a little bit of credit and say that over time, I think they've just kind of continued to gel and come up with new ideas and just grow as like a united identity. Because I think when Run the Jewels came together, you'd be hard pressed to find a lot of people who knew of LP and Killer Mike.
Right.
I think this group has considerably raised the profile for both artists, and it's not just the music, but at the like Killer Mike's done his TV shows and all this stuff, and he's just been more active in the social spotlight generally. But in this era of Run the Jewels is when both of their profiles sort of elevated to a different
Mhm.
level, a newer frontier for both of them. So I think they're both still like really figuring it out together and kind of on the fly. And now they're in a bigger situation, probably with more resources at their disposal or more things worth trying.
Dude, this project, when I saw that the track Pulling the Pin that has Mavis Staple on it,
Uh,
took the second to last track. I also saw the name Josh Homme or Home or whatever, however you say his name, and I was like, why do I know that name? Like, who's that from? He's a fucking singer of Queens of the Stone Age. I was like, what?
That's fucking
Like-
wild.
Right. I'm like, only like there's so very few people that would get Mavis Staple and the lead singer of Queens of the Stone Age on the same track.
like,
And
yeah,
Run
you
the
know who
Jewels
would
is
be fire on
exactly
this?
who you would expect. Like,
How does
That's
that
pretty
conversation come about?
yeah. But
Um,
like, yeah, I mean, I think they, what you're saying about like they're kind of at this point of elevation, like this project is pretty indicative of that because of just the like wide array of people that have touched this thing. Like I
Mhm.
know not credited on here is like Gangsta Boo, who's been on previous projects.
Yep.
2 Chainz, who's always been cool with Killer Mike and stuff. But then to get like, I don't know, and then like Zach De La Roca, who I think he lived with LP or Killer. He lived with one of them for a while.
Okay.
But then to put him and Pharrell on the same song,
Right. Same thing as the
And, like-
as the Josh Homme and the Mavis Staples collaboration. Is
Right.
like, man.
Yeah, I
where
mean,
did
I
we
think
pull
they
that
just
from?
like they have the ability to do like some out there stuff, and they totally take that opportunity
Yeah.
whenever they find one.
Yeah. Can't say they didn't do anything bold. Can't say they didn't complexify this project and make it really interesting. About those features, though, any one of them standing out as like the best outside addition to this project?
I love. I'm not and I don't really know much about Rage Against the Machine. I've never been like a huge Rage Against the Machine guy. I like appreciate their value in pop culture.
I've always been
But
I've always been an in theory
right.
Rage Against the Machine is pretty awesome type guy.
Yeah, exactly. I love this Pharrell and Zach De La Roca shit. It's so weird, and like they totally took that Rage Against the Machine like filter, you know, where it sounds like it's on a megaphone, and they just like threw it next to like completely clear mixing of Pharrell, and it's just like so clearly like they just were like, yeah, let's just put Zach De La Roca in this shit. But I don't know. I actually like this a lot more than I expected, just based off of my previous Run the Jewels listens, because I always liked Run the Jewels, but I've never been like, this is a necessary listen.
Mm-hmm. Or even
I
like a
don't know if
recurring listen
Go
for
ahead.
you, huh? Because I don't go back to those albums that
Right.
much, though I do look back on them fondly. I didn't even really hit them back for this project.
Exactly.
I think what they represented when they got into the game together
Right.
was really something different and something that hip hop could definitely be using at the time. So now they've been doing it a while and they've influenced some people, as well as the nature of our sound in hip hop has really grown to appreciate their sound. Like there just may be other artists out there that you kind of go to for what they represent now at this point, where at the time when they were dropping those first 2 projects, you know, they were really the only people out doing what they were doing on the level that they were doing it. So, but as of right now, kind of sitting in that same range of like albums that are definitely worth mentioning when you talk about end of the year stuff. I just don't know if it's going to be one of those like essential projects on the year, even though it's incredibly relevant.